Well, hello there, I'm Paul.
And I'm Lucy.
Well, we've got a change of theme tune today as it's Famous Five weekend.
Ooh, 70 years ago this weekend, in May 1942, the very first Famous Five story by Enid Blyton was published. It was called Five on a Treasure Island, and she went on to write 21 in total.
Yes, we like the Famous Five, don't we?
Yes, we do.
I think if you... I know they've got a timeless quality and future generations, more recent generations have enjoyed it as well. But I think if you're of a particular age, you have a particular affinity with that sort of story. What do you think?
Well, I do. For me, it's the picnics and the ginger beer and all the sort of, I don't know, the clean fun of having an adventure that isn't really dangerous, but it's a great deal of fun.
Absolutely. Well, according to Wikipedia, that great fount of knowledge, Enid Blyton only ever intended to write about 6 to 8 of these books, but because of their high sales and immense commercial success, she went on to write 21 full-length Famous Five novels. And by the end of 1953, more than 6 million copies of the books have been printed and sold.
Today, more than 2 million copies of the books are sold every year, making them one of the biggest selling series for children ever written.
Yeah, over 100 million Famous Five books have been sold, and nearly all of the novels have been adapted for television in some form or other.
The 21 books Enid Blyton wrote about the Famous Five in chronological order are:
5 on a Treasure Island in 1942.
5 Go Adventuring Again, 1943.
5 Run Away Together, 1944.
5 Go to Smuggler's Top, 1945.
5 Go Off in a Caravan, 1946.
5 on Kirin Island Again, 1947.
5 Go Off to Camp, 1948.
5 Get Into Trouble, 1949.
5 Fall Into Adventure, 1950.
5 on a Hike Together, 1951.
5 Have a Wonderful Time, 1952.
5 Go Down to the Sea, 1953.
5 Go to Mystery Moor, 1954.
5 Have Plenty of Fun, 1955.
5 On a Secret Trail, 1956.
5 Go to Billycock Hill, 1957.
5 Get Into a Fix, 1958.
5 on Finiston Farm, 1959.
5 Go to Demon's Rocks, 1960.
5 Have a Mystery to Solve, 1962.
And 5 Are Together Again. That was 1962 as well. Now, I always thought that I'd actually read all of the Famous Five books, but looking at those titles now, I'm not entirely sure. Some of them don't look that familiar. What about you?
No, I know I haven't read them all. We should have to be looking for them, I can see. Yeah.
Now, to be honest, the problem is, if you choose to look upon it as a problem, is a lot of the storylines are fairly similar. As you said, they go off on picnics and they go off on adventures, or they go off camping, or they go off on holiday to some distant location, and then they suddenly end up having an adventure.
And they can't go back to boarding school because they've been ill or they're in quarantine for something.
That's right. Now, I mean, to be honest, it was that meant that the Channel 4 spoof by the comic strip in the early 80s was actually so good, because it based itself on these cliches. You know, oh, Julian, you're so grown up, and things like that. It was, oh no, not another adventure, how awful, and things like that. So that actually works for it and against it, if you like.
There's also a survival guide, isn't there?
Yes, there's a survival guide. Enid Blyton wrote the Famous Five survival guide, and she also wrote a number of short stories featuring the same characters, and these were finally collected together in 1963 as 5 Have a Puzzling Time and Other Stories.
Interestingly enough, there are also books written originally in French by Claude Voilier. The 5 have long been extremely popular in translation in the French-speaking parts of Europe, and these were later translated into English.
Yes, he started writing these in 1971. Obviously, this was after Enid Blyton had died, and obviously there was a clamour for more stories, obviously in France. And he's actually written loads and loads of these. Some have been translated into English and some haven't. I mean, to give you an example, the first one in 1971, Les 5 sont les plus forts, which the English translation is The Famous Five and the Mystery of the Emeralds.
Les 5 au bal des espions, and the English title is The Famous Five in Fancy Dress. That was 1971.
I think the French title sounds more fun than that one, to
Yeah,
be
I
honest.
do too.
Anyway, there you go. So Claude Voilier's Famous Five books originally in French, look out for them in English. Now, interestingly enough, starting in 2004, yet another batch of new Famous Five books has been written in German by Sarah Bosse. And none of these have been translated into English yet, so we're looking up for those, won't we?
Obviously, if you read French and German, then you don't have to worry about the translation.
Now, there have been lots and lots of more recent series and DVD releases and films and all that sort of thing, the Famous Five, but my own particular favourite has to be the 1970s television series. Did you see that?
No.
No, you didn't see that. Well, it was interrupted by the strike on ITV during the summer when they had the strike, and it mucked all the television schedules up. So I didn't see all of the stories. But anyway, if you remember that, you will probably remember the theme tune to that. We have tracked down the full version of the song. It was released on a 45 RPM record. This is taken off the vinyl single, so please excuse the sound quality. I'm sure this will bring you back some happy memories.
Wherever there's adventure to